It is the summer of 1931, and 20 men are trapped inside a freezing steel tube beneath the Arctic Ocean. Above them is an endlessly thick ceiling of solid ice, and they are listening to the top of their vessel violently scrape against it. They are locked in this position by a cascading series of mechanical failures. Their onboard ice drill is broken, their diving rudder is completely missing, and one main engine is dead. They have no way to dive deeper into the water to escape the jagged ice, and no way to break upward to the surface. 20 men are sitting in pitch darkness, waiting to either drown or freeze to death. These men are sealed inside this coffin because Hubert Wilkins tethered his life's work to a high-stakes media deal that outpaced his submarine's capabilities. Hubert Wilkins was a hardened polar explorer and weather scientist. He believed the only practical way to study the Arctic was from beneath the ice, using a submarine to bypass the frozen surface. In the early 1930s, this was a terrifying proposition. Previous Arctic expeditions, like the British Navy's 1845 Franklin mission, ended with ships frozen solid and crews resorting to cannibalism. While men had flown over the North Pole, attempting to sail beneath it was widely considered a suicide mission. To fund his vision, Wilkins turned to American newspaper tycoon William Randolph Hearst. Hearst immediately transformed the scientific mission into a PR stunt. He demanded that Wilkins rendezvous with a waiting airship exactly at the North Pole for a global headline. He offered a $1,500 bonus for arriving on time, but threatened total financial ruin if Wilkins failed to meet the schedule. Hearst's deadline effectively hijacked the science. To keep his funding, Wilkins had to transform his research mission into a frantic sprint to satisfy a billionaire publisher. The vessel Wilkins secured for the expedition was the O-12, an obsolete World War I submarine. It was uninsulated, built for shallow coastal waters, and entirely unfit to survive the crushing pressure and freezing temperatures of the Arctic Ocean. Engineer Simon Lake retrofitted the hull with wooden sled runners and a drill to bore through 20 feet of ice. Bolting these heavy additions onto a dying machine overloaded its fragile systems, piling theoretical marvels onto an aging iron hull. The warnings arrived before reaching the ice. During the Atlantic crossing, an engine cylinder cracked, the radio died, and the sub drifted powerless until a passing battleship rescued them. The ordeal caused several crewmen to abandon the mission in port, while the newspapers began mocking Wilkins's failure. The threat of Hearst pulling the funding forced Wilkins to ignore these red flags. He commanded his crippled vessel forward, directly into the frozen north. By August, they were navigating beneath the ice sheet. Inside the uninsulated iron hull, the temperature dropped below freezing. The crew shared cramped bunks to stay warm and struggled with the immense psychological weight of being buried under the ice. Then the situation turned dire. The submarine suddenly refused to dive deep. An outside inspection revealed a catastrophic problem. The diving rudder, the mechanical fin that controlled their depth, was entirely missing. Following days of heated arguments with men begging to turn back, Wilkins reached a dark conclusion. He suspected his terrified crew had deliberately detached the rudder in the night to force an immediate end to the expedition. On August 31st, Wilkins attempted a desperate final move to save his pride. Without a rudder to steer them down, he ordered the crew to flood the forward tanks. He used the weight of the water to violently force the submarine's nose downward, dragging them deeper beneath the ice pack. The steep angle drove the top of the vessel directly into the rugged ice canopy. The overhead sled runners violently dragged along the unyielding ice, sending deafening screeches echoing through the metal tube. Every man inside was convinced the hull was tearing open. The terror of that moment finally broke Wilkins's resolve. Realizing he was about to kill 20 men for a newspaper headline, he officially aborted the mission on September 6th. While the physical expedition appeared to be a disaster, the data Wilkins's team managed to collect during their survival ordeal was an unexpected triumph. This diagram illustrates their findings. They secured crucial gravity readings, pulled core samples from the deep ocean floor, and discovered a hidden layer of warm water circulating right beneath the freezing surface ice. The Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution utilized this exact data to build the foundational models for predicting global ocean currents and complex weather patterns. The O-12 failed as a submarine, but the mission provided the indisputable proof that navigating and surviving beneath the polar ice was possible. 27 years later, the United States Navy fulfilled Wilkins's vision. In 1958, they successfully crossed the Arctic Ocean under the ice using a nuclear-powered submarine, fittingly named the USS Nautilus. In 1959, the USS Skate took the concept further. It navigated directly to the North Pole and broke vertically through the ice into the air above, exactly as Wilkins had once planned. Hubert Wilkins actually reached the North Pole on that mission. Following his death, the crew of the Skate carried his ashes aboard, scattering them across the ice at the top of the world. The 1931 Nautilus expedition ended as a chaotic collision of fragile tech and ego, but it provided the proof of concept for under-ice navigation, a legacy that allowed future crews to finally conquer the North Pole.